There's one name that echoes through every era of Final Fantasy, a name that transcends worlds, war, and even time itself. He's not always a hero, he's not always a villain, but he's always there. The Cid of each Final Fantasy is a mirror, sometimes cracked, sometimes gleaming, that reflects the age he was born into, a constant in a sea of change. This isn't the story of just one man, it's the evolution of an idea, a legacy passed down like a myth, reshaped again and again to suit the story that needed him, from humble engineers to mad scientists, from airship captains to empire builders. These are the many faces of Cid. In Final Fantasy I, the legend begins as a whisper. In the original Final Fantasy, there is no man named Cid, just the trace of a myth retconned into the 2002 remake. He becomes the creator of the airship, a silent archetype behind the skies. Not really a character, but a spirit. The first flicker of a name that would echo across generations. In Final Fantasy II, that myth begins to take shape. Cid is an airship engineer and pilot for hire based out of Hoft. He's driven by coin, but loyal when it counts. It's the first time he even walks among us. He's practical, grounded, and essential. He doesn't offer any grand speeches, no epic powers, just expertise, grit, and a glimpse of the archetype to come. In the end, he gives his airship to Firion. In Final Fantasy III, this Cid is warm and wise and eccentric. Cid Hayes is a white-bearded genius who guides the heroes with upgrades and advice. He's a mentor, a builder, a father figure without the bloodline. He lives in the village of Canaan, and you guessed it, he creates airships. Using the Wheel of Time, he turns the ship Enterprise into the party's airship. His tools shape your journey. He's the sage with oil on his hands and stars in his eyes. Final Fantasy IV. Louder, bolder, and unshakably loyal, Cid Polendina is an axe and hammer-wielding engineer. He joins the fight himself, as he is the first time a Cid actually makes it into your party. This Cid was the head of Baron's Corps of Engineers. He's also in Final Fantasy IV Interlude and the After Years. He laughs loud, lives large, and sacrifices willingly. He's not just a man who keeps the airship running, he's the soul of the party. Cid seemingly sacrifices himself when he attempts to save the party by plugging a hole with a bomb in the underworld. He does end up surviving and building a new fleet, and by the end of the game he lives in peace. And he's even the best man at Cecil and Rose's wedding. Final Fantasy V. Science and sorrow intertwine in this quieter, more altruistic incarnation of Cid. This Cid, alongside his grandson, Mid, pushes the boundaries of technology. In 5, Cid once again is an NPC and not a party member. Cid and his grandson Mid are engineers from Karnak who invented a machine that amplifies the power of the crystals. But invention comes at a cost. Here Cid is burdened by consequence, a man haunted by what progress has broken. He builds the future but mourns the past. He isn't a playable character this time around, but he does team with the Light Warriors to help make things right for the mistakes he's done. He urges Bartz and the Warriors to save the world. In Final Fantasy VI, here the archetype fractures. Cid is a scientist for the Empire, experimenting on espers, living beings of magic. He's the creator of Magitech that allows humans and machines to be infused with that magic. This Cid is a man devoted to his research, but not necessarily the Empire. Still, his work directly results in the Empire becoming the superpower that it is. His genius is tainted by complicity. He regrets, he tries to atone. Depending on your choices, he may live or die, but either way, he becomes a symbol of what happens when intellect outruns morality. And then we come to probably the most famous Cid in the series, and that is Cid Highwind from Final Fantasy VII. Cid dreams of the stars and swears like a sailor. He's a rocket scientist with a broken heart, a dreamer grounded by failure. He joins the party bitter, but burning, chasing what's left of his skybound hopes. Crude and more crude, but deeply human. The Cid with calluses on his soul. He actually worked for Shinra before ever joining the party, and his lifelong dream was to go to space, and he blames his assistant Shara for his dreams failing. It's just sad all around because he continues to blame her, and she accepts the burden of that blame. I still believe Cid has a good heart, but he also is really flawed. And then we come to Final Fantasy VIII, and Cid Kramer trades blueprints for red uniforms. As headmaster of Ballum Garden, he leads not with machines but with strategy, secrecy, and moral compromise. He oversees school operations and seed operations, which he founded. He's less an inventor and more a puppet master, guiding a generation of child soldiers while haunted by the war he helps prepare them for. He has a secret that the player doesn't find out till much later in the game, and Cid Kramer always felt like a warm grandpa figure to me. And then we have Final Fantasy IX. Cid Fabul is cursed into an Agalap. A punchline on the surface, but his mind remains razor sharp. As ruler of Lindblum, he crafts ships, plots strategies, and leads from behind the scenes. The entire events of the game are a result of his plans to have Tantalus kidnap Princess Garnet during the performance I Want to Be Your Canary. In a world where appearance is often illusion, Cid reminds us that true brilliance can't be dimmed by form. Final Fantasy X, leader of the Al Bhed, pilot of stolen ships, uncle to Yuna and father to a lightning-fast thief, Cid fights with rebellion in his blood and resistance on his hands. In a world ruled by blind faith, he's the voice of dissent, loud, proud, and utterly unrepentant. He's the one who repairs the party's airship, Fahrenheit, and in 10-2, Cid struggles to find his place in this new world of peace. Hopping from project to project, he eventually ends up starting a new business with Owaka on Mount Gagazet at the hot springs. His last chance to make some money and rebuild home. In 11, in the fractured world of Vana'diel, Cid is chief engineer of Bastok and a master of Magitech. He fuses the arcane with the magical, pushing the boundaries of what the world allows. A builder of weapons and a symbol of industrial will. In a land of shifting loyalties, his is the mind that moves mountains. Now, I do admit I've never played Final Fantasy XI, so I can't speak on this Cid too much personally. But perhaps one day, although I just read they're pausing character creation for the most popular servers, or the most popular servers because of all these influx of new players, I would still like to play it. Does anyone here even still play 11, or have you played 11? Is it worth diving into? What is it, been 15, 20 years since it came out? Let me know in the comments. And then we come to Final Fantasy XII. Dr. Sodolphus. He is the descent, the spiral, the warning. He is intellect without empathy, brilliance without restraint. Driven by gods and visions, he builds empires on lies and nethicite. He's not just mad, he's right in his own mind. And that's what makes him terrifying, the Cid who hears voices and then answers them. He's a true antagonist, but he's also father to Balthier. He's employed under the Arcadian Empire and the mastermind behind manufactured nethicite. His work fueled the Empire to become the superpower it is, but unlike Cid from Final Fantasy V, he has no regrets. But perhaps in his last moments, there is a glimmer of humanity left. In 13, Cid reigns begins as a sanctum officer, sharp, principled, and loyal, but the truth breaks him. His transformation into a lessee is a tragedy, not a twist. He rises against the system he served and falls trying to save it. After defying focus and falling in battle against the fugitive lessee, Rain turns to Crystal. He's later revived by Barthandalus to serve as the new Primarch, a puppet with the sole purpose of inciting conflict among the people of Cocoon. He doesn't die a villain, he dies a man who saw the truth too late. And then we have Cid Garland from Final Fantasy XIV. He's a fugitive of the Empire, a prophet of machines. He builds airships not for conquest but for hope. Every bolt he turns, every engine he wakes is a defiance of tyranny. In a world of gods and magic, he fights with innovation. He doesn't just build airships, he builds tomorrows. This Cid could basically have an hour-long video just of himself because he's such an integral part of the entire Final Fantasy XIV storyline, which spans years and years and years. Just know that this version of Cid is intelligent, dutiful, and a genuinely good person. He truly wishes to help the people around him, and he definitely is my favorite Cid in the series. And I love Cid in all the expansions, but my favorite is probably him in the base Realm Reborn, where he begins as a humble man named Marquis. It's been a while. He has amnesia, but across the story he gains his memory again and eventually aids the Warrior of Light in his attack against the Castrum. You know, I could go on all day about Final Fantasy XIV, but I literally hate writing and watching anything about Final Fantasy XIV because I legit miss it so much. And I'm not want to resub. I have a lot of memories with 14. I miss that game. And then we come to 15. This Cid doesn't say much. He doesn't have to. He's a grizzled old mechanic of the Hammerhead Garage, and he's a relic of older wars and older friendships. He upgrades your weapons, grunts through your nonsense, and leaves the spotlight to others. But behind every engine hum is his legacy. Even kings need a mechanic, and he has a pretty cool backstory, having fought alongside King Regis in his youth. And he also has a pretty awesome granddaughter. It's not a big deal, but I'm just saying she's there for moral support. And then we come to the last game in the mainline series, and I will say, since Final Fantasy XVI is the latest in the series, this little part will have a spoiler in it, so you can skip ahead if you want. Cidolfus Telamon is a dominant of Arama and a revolutionary. He shelters bearers, and bearers are magical slaves, and he seeks to dismantle the oppressive system of Valistea. He's haunted, hardened, and heroic, a former soldier turned savior. He gives Clive a new name and a new purpose, and his death becomes the fuel that lights the fire of rebellion. This Cid is a mythic figure, a Prometheus who steals lightning to give freedom to mankind. Like the many Cids before him, he builds, he guides, and then dies. But in death, he is reborn again and again. Cid's not just a man, he is an idea. He's the bridge between steel and spirit, science and story. Across 16 games, he is a father, a fighter, a fool, a god, a ghost, a madman. He's the one who gives you wings, and the one who warns you of the cost of ambition. Each Cid reflects his world, its dreams, its sins, its scars. And though they look different, speak different, live and die in different ages, they're bound by something deeper than canon. They are often the light of reason in worlds ruled by fate, or he is a warning of the powers of going too far without conscience. They are the blueprints left behind so that others may follow. They are not the same, but they are always Cid. Let me know in the comments which Cid is your favorite. For me, it's definitely Final Fantasy XIV Cid. As I said, I really missed that guy. I missed that game. I'm done talking about it. And trust me, I know there's plenty of more Cids. There's spin-off games and sequels and all this stuff. And I was just mainly talking about the mainline games, even though I did mention 10-2. Whatever. But yes, let me know what your favorite Cid is. Thank you again for watching. Have an amazing day, and God bless.